What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome back to another Should You Pull video, where I give you my opinions of our upcoming banners coming to the global version of the game. Today we are going to take a look at Desch's event banner, which you can grab obviously his 1535 and his EX weapon, and alongside that his LD weapon as well. You also get the chance to grab Shantoto's burst weapon if you haven't already, and the other characters you can get from here is going to be Onion Knight and Yang, which you can get all their weapons up to the EX version of their weapons. Now before we do start, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel guys, and I really do appreciate all the support you guys give me. 200 like goals for this video, and without further ado, let's start this video. Alright guys, so we'll start this video off with Desch's abilities with all the passives included. His first ability is called Thundering Slash, which will have a total of 6 uses, and it's going to be a 4-hit Thunder AoE Magic Brave plus AoE HP attack. This will have an increased brave damage dealt when attacking a single target, and will heal the party based on the HP damage dealt up to 20% of their max HP. However, this is going to be a split HP damage and will grant the anti-magic area buff for 8 turns, and will also inflict a thunder resist down for 4 turns. This will have a 180% max brave overflow limit and will also dispel the anti-physic area buff. So what is anti-magic area? Now this is going to be an aura buff that is applied to everyone in the party. Obviously Desch will have the actual buff itself. This will raise the party's max brave and attack by 40% and increasing the magic resistance by 80%. This will also grant a thunder enchant to the rest of the party. Now while he's buff, he will also have access to his Brave Attack Plus, which is going to be a 2-hit Thunder Melee Brave Attack. Now as for his second ability, it's called Lightning Flash, which also will have 6 uses in total, and it will be a 4-hit Thunder AoE Magic Brave Attack plus single target HP attack. This will have a increased brave damage when attacking a single target, and will also have a 50% splash damage as well. This will have a 150% max brave overflow and will also have the healing effect, just as the same as his first ability. Now this will grant him the anti-physic area for 8 turns and will dispel the anti-magic area buff, and will also inflict a thunder resist down debuff. So what is the anti-physic area buff? Well, the same thing with the anti-magic. This is actually anti-physical area. I don't know why they cut that off. Maybe there's just not enough space, but whatever the case, this is just the reverse of the anti-magic area. This will have a physical resist up to 80%, and the rest of the max brave and attack remains the same, and will also grant the thunder enchant buff. Aura buff. Now while he's buff, he will also have access to his HP attack plus, which will be a Thunder Melee Brave plus HP attack. Now as for his additional ability, it's going to be a HP heal advance, which will have 3 uses with the Bloomstone, and will slightly restores the party's HP and increasing their max brave overflow limits stolen brave for 3 turns. Now let's take a look at Desch's LD first before we get into the EX and EX Plus. This will give him the ability called Electric Floor, which will have 3 uses in total and will be a 4-hit Thunder AoE Melee Brave Attack plus single target HP attack delivered twice. Now this will have increased brave damage dealt when attacking a single target, and will have a 180% max brave overflow limit, and will grant the electric area for 8 turns. Now this will increase his attack and max brave by a total of 30% after all its limit broken. Now while the electric area is active, this will have a 25% chance of paralysis for every enemy turn taken. If not, this will inflict a defense down debuff instead of the paralysis. Now the electric area raises the party's elemental weakness damage as well. Alright guys, now let's move on to Desch's EX, which will give him the EX ability Ancient Bolt, which is going to be a 6-hit Thunder AoE Melee Brave plus AoE HP attack. This will increase the brave damage dealt when attacking a single target, and will deal full HP damage to all targets. This will also inflict the ancient spell for 4 turns, and will have a slightly slow recast speed. Now the ancient spell debuff will lower the enemy's max brave. Now at 1 out of 3, this will increase the brave damage dealt. At 2 out of 3, this will inflict the thunder resist down debuff for 4 turns, and at 3 out of 3 will increase its recast speed. Now if you do decide to realize this weapon, at 0 out of 3, this will have increase in brave potency and increase in max brave overflow up to 120%. At 1 out of 3, this will raise his max brave by 60% and his attack by 70%. At 2 out of 3, when the quest starts, they will grant the anti-magic area buff for 8 turns at the start of the quest, and for his first turn he will not consume any ability, no action delay, will not increase the turn count, however will still decrease the friend and summon action count, and will fill up his EX gauge to 80%. Now at 3 out of 3, this will have an increase in brave hit to 8 and increasing its brave potency once again, and will have an 150% max brave overflow limit now rather than 120. And while he is buff, he will have access to the Brave Attack Plus Plus, which is going to be a 3-hit Thunder Melee Brave Attack, and HP Attack Plus Plus, which is going to be a 3-hit Thunder Melee Brave Plus HP Attack, and will have a 120% Max Brave Overflow limit. Now the bonus sphere you're getting for this one is Buff Success Raging Attack All. After granting a buff, it will raise the party's attack by 1% up to 5 times. Alright guys, so after hearing all this information regarding Desch's abilities, his EX Plus, and his LD, how much should you be investing on Desch if you want to use him moving forward? Now, I honestly feel like I've been recommending 3 out of 3 all the time for the past should you pulls, but that is within good reason. I do feel like a lot of these characters do need their 3 out of 3 now. Especially when the longevity reason is at 3 out of 3, so it's very hard for me to recommend anything lower. So I do feel like, again, with Desch, he falls in that same category where the longevity reason is at 3 out of 3. He definitely improves on that HP attack, and I think is very useful. He doesn't have a lot of ability usage. You do have 6 for his first ability and 6 for his second ability, and you get 1 free usage at the start of the quest. However, that's it. That's all you get. So having a little bit of buffer for damage to unload some brave, you know, I think the HP attack is very important for Desch. Now he also has that electric area, which is really nice. Can be clutch, and will have some clutch factors in it if it actually hits with a paralysis rather than a defense down. So those things are something to really think about. You know, when you're using Desch, like, do I want to test my luck with electric floor all the time? And saying that 25% is pretty good. 1 out of 4 chance, man, I'll take that. All right, and you get a defense down anyway, regardless. So whether you have the paralysis, I mean, you do get the defense down if you don't get the paralysis. So that's still a very nice thing to have. So Desch to me really falls into the tanky position, even though the game probably doesn't say so. I think his role is more of a tank. He's more of an aura tank than anything else. Now the biggest weakness I can really see for Desch is for enemies who have both physical and magic attacks. You do have to have some sort of predictability with a Desch, so that's gonna fall on you as the player to decide, is the enemy going to use a magic attack? Do I need the magic anti-magic buff or the anti-physical buff? So if there are enemies with multiple attacks that mixed in both magic and physical attack, it's going to be very difficult for you to predict which one's coming. Of course, reading through the enemy's abilities will probably help, but again, it really falls on the player whether they can predict it right or wrong. So I think that's the only thing. He doesn't have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't have the specialty of having just the physical or the magic, but 80% resist down on both physical and magic is pretty good. You have to choose one or the other, but it's really strong. So I have to say Desch is a pretty great character. Is he meta defining? I wouldn't really say so, but he is a very good character to bring along to reduce a lot of the brave damage you are going to be taking. Alright guys, we're towards the end of this video, and the final question remains, should you pull? To me, this banner is probably skippable. It really depends if Desch is one of the characters that you like. I think he is a pretty solid character. Very defensive, like I mentioned. If you're lacking on some defensive characters, I mean, he is really good in that. The only thing is, like I mentioned before, is you do have to predict if it's going to be a magic or physical attack that's incoming, especially when the boss is, or the enemies have mix. So that is the only thing. But to me, if you're after Shantoto's burst, this is probably the best banner to go for, because Desch is a brand new character. So for everyone, this is something that no one has just yet. But in saying that, if you don't have any of the characters on the previous banners where Shantoto's bursts are, there's still some very highlightable characters in those banners. As of the release of Desch, the banner for Shantoto is still going to be up with her LD on it. So Alice is, I think, still very strong. Has the longevity effect if you know how to use her rotation very well. And Ultimisia is still a pretty good character, and with her LD as well. So if you don't have Ultimisia, you don't have Alice, I do highly suggest to take a look at your roster, which one you actually need more. Do you need more of a defensive tank? Then this is the banner for you. Do you need more, ultimately, a high DPS? Then Alice is probably the one for you. Do you need someone who has a lot of free turns? Well, Ultimisia is probably the one for you. But yeah, to me, this is probably the best banner to go for, question mark. It just really depends on what you have. The only reason why I say this is the best banner to chase Shantoto's burst is, yeah, again, Desch is a new character, so no one really has them. So you can use your tickets. Probably I'll try to avoid using gems for this one. Again, Shantoto doesn't have the best burst. Even though I did get her by accident and ended up having to pull for her LD just to complete, quote unquote, so complete her. So yeah, there's a lot of better characters with better bursts later down the track, especially next month and also the month after that. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Please do remember to click like and subscribe once again if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give me, and it also helps with the YouTube algorithm as well. And if you don't want to miss any of my videos, hit the bell button as well. You can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below if you are planning to pull on this banner, and let me know, is it for the burst and Desch is going to be the second prize, or is it Desch and the burst can be your second prize? Let me know down in the comments below. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next level.